Imagine this.
You're sitting across from someone you really like. Your heart is racing. Your thoughts are moving faster than your words. And suddenly you start talking and talking. Before you know it, you've shared more about your childhood trauma, your ex, your biggest fears, your dreams, your bank account, and the fact that you once cried in a grocery store because they were out of your favorite ice cream. Sound familiar? We've all been there. That moment when we feel seen, excited, hopeful, and we mistake that spark for safety. So we open up way too fast, way too much, and we call it being real. But what if I told you that most of the time, oversharing isn't vulnerability at all? It's insecurity dressed up as honesty. And here's the twist. The more you like them, the more tempted you'll be to give them everything. Your story, your secrets, your soft spots. And you won't even realize you're doing it. You're just trying to connect, to impress, to be chosen. But in the process, you've handed over something priceless: control. You think you're getting closer, but really you're giving them a blueprint of how to break you. This talk isn't about being cold. It's not about playing games or being fake. It's about protecting the most valuable thing you own, yourself. Because oversharing isn't courage, and connection built on chaos, it doesn't last. So let's talk about it. Let's break the habit of bleeding on people who haven't even earned a paper cut. Because the truth is, the people who are worth knowing, the ones who'll meet you with depth and respect, they'll want to earn your story, not steal it. And you deserve to hold a little more, say a little less, and know silence isn't weakness, it's power. When we talk about oversharing, especially in the early stages of a connection, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, we're not just talking about talking too much. We're talking about giving away parts of ourselves that haven't been earned, handing over pages of our story before someone's even decided to stick around for the introduction. And it's not just a harmless habit. It's a pattern rooted in psychology, in need, in fear, and often in the hope that if we show all of who we are, someone will finally see us and stay. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Oversharing isn't the same as being open. It's not authentic vulnerability. It's a fast-track version of intimacy, and it usually comes from a place of deep insecurity or anxiety. We overshare because we're trying to accelerate trust. We're trying to collapse time and jump straight to closeness. And if we're being really honest with ourselves, we're often doing it not for them, but for us. When you like someone, really like them, there's this internal pressure that starts to build. You want to connect, you want to be chosen, and you want to be understood. So what do? You open the floodgates. You think that if they know everything, the good, the bad, the messy, then they'll understand you, accept you, and maybe even love you for it. You hope that your transparency will make them feel safe with you. That if you go first, they'll follow. That if you show them you have nothing to hide, they'll stick around. But more often than not, that's not what happens. Because when we overshare, especially early on, we do something unintentional but deeply damaging. We create imbalance. We shift the dynamic. The person on the receiving end hasn't had a chance to earn our trust, but suddenly they're holding on to intimate parts of us, and that changes how they see us. Sometimes it makes them feel overwhelmed. Sometimes it makes them feel powerful. And sometimes, let's be real, it makes them pull away. Because real intimacy isn't built in a burst. It's built in layers, over time, with reciprocity. There's a term in psychology called emotional flooding, and that's exactly what oversharing can feel like for both people. The sharer feels relief in the moment, like a weight is lifted, but that relief is temporary. It's anxiety relief, not emotional resolution. You might feel better because you got it out, but you're also left feeling exposed, wondering later if you said too much. And the person listening, they might not have asked for that level of depth. They might not be ready to meet you there. And now they're holding your vulnerability with no context, no commitment, and no responsibility. That's not connection. That's chaos disguised as closeness. Oversharing often shows up when we're trying to be liked. We think that by revealing more, we're being more authentic. But in reality, it's often a bid for control. If we lay it all out, our past, our pain, our passions, then maybe we can control how we're seen. Maybe we can make someone stay, but that strategy backfires. because no one wants to be force-fed intimacy. And no one feels closer when they're overloaded with someone else's emotional baggage before they've even found their own seat at the table. And here's the deeper cost. When you overshare, you teach people how to value you. If you're giving away deeply personal information freely without discernment, you're signaling, even subconsciously, that your story doesn't require effort to access. You're telling them, I don't have boundaries. You don't have to earn my trust. And once that message is sent, it's very hard to undo. People start treating you the way you taught them to, as someone who doesn't need protecting, someone who spills instead of builds, someone who feels too much too fast. We've also been conditioned, especially in this age of social media, to believe that vulnerability means putting it all out there. That realness is about raw exposure, but vulnerability is not about oversharing. It's about being honest and intentional. It's about discerning who's safe and when. It's about pacing your truth in a way that honors both yourself and the other person. Vulnerability is earned, and it should be protected, not broadcasted. Oversharing can also sabotage potentially great relationships. Because when someone doesn't know you yet, they don't have the emotional tools to contextualize your stories. They can't understand the depth or nuance. They don't know what you've healed from, what you're still working through, what parts of your story define you versus what parts are just scars. So instead of feeling drawn to you, they might just feel confused, overwhelmed, or unsure of how to respond. And the worst part, oversharing can feel like connection in the moment. It gives us that temporary high, but the crash always comes. The moment when you replay the conversation and wonder if you said too much. The moment when they pull back and you wonder if it was because you were too much. The moment when you feel naked, not because you were brave, but because you were unguarded. So why do we do it? Because we're human. Because we crave closeness. Because we're afraid that if we hold back, we'll miss our chance. Because deep down, so many of us have been taught that we have to earn love by being transparent, even if it means bleeding before we're bandaged. But it doesn't have to be that way. Real connection isn't built on everything at once. It's built on patience, on presence, on mutual respect. It's about letting someone earn your story, not because you're hiding anything, but because you respect yourself enough to protect it. You don't need to give all of you to be loved. You just need to give the real you slowly, wisely, and only to those who show they're ready to receive it with care. There's a reason intelligence agencies, negotiators, and high-level leaders are trained to say less. There's a reason people in power choose their words carefully, pause often, and never feel rushed to explain themselves. It's because they understand something most people overlook. Information is power. What you reveal, when, how, and to whom can determine the course of a relationship, a decision, even your entire reputation. And when you give away too much too soon, especially in moments of emotional vulnerability, you're handing someone else the ability to influence, shape, or even control how they see you and how they treat you. This isn't about being manipulative. It's about being strategic. There's a massive difference between being honest and being impulsive with your words. When we like someone romantically, socially, or professionally, we often feel this internal pressure to be understood, to be known, to be seen fully, and to prove that we're open, trustworthy, or different. And in trying to prove that, we tend to overshare, thinking that transparency is the same thing as connection. It's not. You've probably experienced this before. You meet someone who intrigues you. You want them to like you. You feel that pull to bond quickly. So you start talking maybe about your past, your mistakes, your fears, even your dreams. You offer them your story like a gift. But the problem is, not everyone is ready or worthy of that gift. And the more personal details you share, the more power you place in their hands. You're giving them the blueprint to how you operate, your motivations, your pressure points, your emotional currency. You think you're building a connection. But what you're actually doing is lowering your guard without checking if they're coming in with respect or curiosity or ego. Because here's the truth, most people won't tell you. Some people collect your information like currency. They may not do it maliciously, but they listen closely. They take mental notes. And whether consciously or not, they begin to form judgments. assumptions, and strategies around the things you've revealed. If you tell someone early on that you fear abandonment, or that you always get anxious when someone pulls away, guess what? That person now knows exactly how to unnerve you. If you tell them you're desperate for loyalty because you've been betrayed, they know how to gain your trust quickly, even if they don't deserve it. And if you speak too freely about your goals and your insecurities, you may unknowingly give them the map to manipulate your emotions, your decisions, or your self-image. We live in a time where oversharing has become normalized. Online, we're encouraged to spill everything. Our struggles, our traumas, our unfiltered thoughts, all in the name of being authentic. And while honesty is essential, raw disclosure without intention can be damaging. Think of your personal information as valuable intel. Would a general in the military hand over the mission strategy before knowing who's sitting across the table? Of course not, because they understand that once you give someone information, you can't take it back, and you can't control how they'll use it. When we like someone, we often blur the line between emotional intimacy and emotional exposure. We confuse immediate comfort with long-term safety. But trust is something that should be built in layers, over time, through mutual demonstration of respect, consistency, and care. It's not about holding back out of fear. It's about pacing the exchange of information in a way that protects your peace and your power. There's strength in not saying everything. There's wisdom in leaving some pages unread until you know the person deserves to see the full story. You might think, but if I don't open up, how will they know the real me? That's the wrong question. The right one is, why am I in a rush to be fully understood by someone who hasn't shown me who they are yet? If someone is truly interested in you, not just what you offer, not just what you reveal, but you, they will take the time to know you. They'll ask the right questions. They'll stay even when you don't give them every detail. And they'll respect your boundaries, not push against them. Another thing to remember is that power isn't about domination. It's about control, not over others, but over yourself. The more control you have over your words, your emotions, your disclosures, the more grounded you'll be. You'll stop looking for validation through vulnerability. You'll stop seeking closeness through confession. And instead, you'll start to evaluate people not by how much they seem to like you, but by how they respond to what little you choose to share. Controlled communication doesn't mean you're closed off. It means you value yourself enough to protect what's sacred. It means you understand that people don't need to know everything about you to connect with you. In fact, a little mystery can be healthy. It invites curiosity. It demands effort. It weeds out the ones who are only in it for the rush of emotional consumption. And it filters in the ones who are willing to earn their way into your deeper world. So next time you feel that urge, the one that says tell them everything so they understand you, so they stay, so they choose you, pause, breathe, ask yourself, am I sharing this because it serves me? Or am I sharing this because I'm afraid they'll walk away if I don't? Because if someone needs to know your darkest truths to stay interested, they were never really interested in you to begin with. Guard your story, not out of fear, but out of strength. Speak when it matters, share when it's earned, and remember, the most powerful person in any room is not the one who speaks the most. It's the one who knows exactly what not to say. There's a quiet power in not being fully known and not revealing every thought, every wound, every piece of your past. The moment you meet someone in a world obsessed with exposure and instant access, mystery isn't just intriguing, it's a form of self-respect. And when you understand how and why to hold certain parts of yourself back, not in a guarded or fearful way, but in a grounded and self-aware way, you become someone who commands attention rather than chases it. You become someone people lean into, not because you're hiding something, but because they know there's more and they want to earn it. Mystery isn't manipulation, it's discernment. It's the wisdom of knowing that not everyone deserves full access to you. And just because someone shows interest doesn't mean they've earned intimacy. You see, real trust doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't magically appear after a deep conversation or two. Trust is built in the slow moments, the consistent ones, the way someone shows up when they don't have to, the way they respond when you say no, the way they listen when you're quiet, not just when you're speaking. The reason mystery is so powerful, especially when you like someone, is because it creates space for curiosity. And curiosity is the foundation of sustainable connection. When someone can't predict you, when they can't immediately label or